Good evening, Michael Bernstein here, your working out accountant, Bernstein Financial. This is another in the series of tax tips. I'm out here in front of my building, working late tonight. Went for a little jog for about 3 miles. I'm ready to do some wall jumps. And there is the wall right there, doing wall jumps. Meanwhile, we're gonna have another installment on revocable living trust. The first installment talked generally about them. And now we're going to get into a little deeper into them and talk about estate tax. Here we put this down. I'm going to do my wall jumps. Might take some breaks in between so you can hear what I'm saying. So what you need to know about estate tax and revocable living trust is you have $11.5 million roughly exclusion of any estate when you die. Each person has that. It's a citizen of the U.S. So if I have $8 million and I pass away, no estate tax. If my wife and I have $6 million together and I die, it's $3 million. My portion, no estate tax. What if our estate is worth $30 million? I know that's not a lot of us out there. $15 million each. I'll pay tax on the excess over 11.5 and the 33.5 million at 40%. Okay. How does a revocable living trust help us? Let's say the estate's worth 15 million and I die. Well, I get, if I do an AB trust, which is a split trust, I can take half of that and apply my 11.5 to the 7.5 million. And then it stays being accounted for, and my spouse has the other 7.5. When she dies, and let's say hers half is worth 9 million, she's still under 11.5 for her, no estate tax. So it's an AB trust. There's a way to do it without an AB trust by using a tax tool called portability, where you preserve your half of the 23 million 11.5. I'd give some other examples where we would use a revocable living trust. And most of these examples are not necessarily related to tax. So let's say I'm married for a second time, and I have 2 kids from my first marriage, and my partner has 2 children from their first marriage, and our estate's worth $4 million, and it's all joint assets. So if we only have an A trust, capital A trust, not an AB, when I pass, all the assets go to my spouse. My spouse, when they die, and by the way, they can change the trust after I die, and they decide my kids have been mean buggers, and they're not going to leave them any money. And they leave it to their kids. I have not preserved my half for my children. This is one of the reasons you might want to do an AB trust. The B part preserves my half, separated, that will only go to my children. The spouse's half go to their children. They stay in an account for the benefit of my spouse earnings until the spouse dies, and then they go down to the respective beneficiaries. It's not a foolproof method, but it's a lot better than not having one. Another example where this applies is, let's say I trust my spouse. They can have the whole $4 million. They're going to take care of the kids. Let's say my spouse gets a little lonely, marries someone new. The new person, they do a new trust for that person because they have a little money, and they do an A trust. Now my spouse dies, and their new spouse gets all the money. Do you think that new spouse is going to care about all the other children in the prior marriages? Maybe, maybe not. So we have to do careful planning to make sure our assets travel the direction we want them to travel. Now, in the AB trust, when it's split, when I first die, that half becomes irrevocable instead of revocable. And the remaining spouse, in that example, will be able to change half of the trust, their half, to different beneficiaries, different trustees, things like that. But they can't change the irrevocable side. And that was when I died. So I'm basically controlling it after I die, so it's preserved for my children. Now, the remaining spouse does have access to the earnings and normally to the principal if they run out of their principal. So again, it's not foolproof, but can be very good in many cases. Well, that's enough for this installment. Hope you enjoyed it. We have more trust episodes coming up. Keep learning tax, keep working out. Bye.